I mean, right now we're focusing entirely on free and open source
Yeah.
software. And yes, technically Arda is free and open source. I know, but free has three meanings in English. It still counts as FOSS. I know. Um, but it's not written anywhere that we have to only do that,
No.
right? I mean, in theory, we could do stuff like, and I'm using in theory a lot, like Maya, which is not free. Like it isn't.
They have
Um,
a free to a lot of companies do have like student licenses, but
yep.
again, you end up with maybe things like watermarking, or when you export, it also comes across in the export. So you do,
It really depends on what people want it for. Like
yeah.
if you want it training, use for training so that you can then invest in the software or go get a job somewhere, that's one thing. But if you want to use it for indie games, that's a very different thing. Substance Painter. Well, okay, Substance Painter. So, for those of you who aren't following the chat, Jelly just said Substance Painter. They'll give you a 1-year student license. I'll send you a screenshot of your Udemy profile, or get it on Steam.
Yes, I bought it on Steam. Whilst it's still available as a single product, multiple times a year, usually Black Friday and the Steam Summer Sale. I don't know if it's finished yet, but they had it at a third off or even half
Yeah, I got
price.
it
I'm
in
not
the
sure.
winter sale for around Christmas,
Yeah,
and it's very impressive.
I mean, I'm still
Although, following games from scratch, there are now some very interesting free alternatives to Substance
Armory
Painter.
Paint looks really, really neat.
Armory Paint does look very good.
And there's also a plugin that I've been very tempted to try. It's a plugin so you do all the stuff directly in Blender. I've not tried it yet. The Well Into Art company, I can't remember what it's called. I'll look it up now and get back to you guys in a second with that.
Quixel Mixer, that's another good one. Thank you.
Although you do have to be careful with the mega scans. They're not free unless you're using them in an epic in a game, basically. So you do have to be careful with the licensing there.
So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there, and my initial reaction is to stick with indie stuff, free stuff, FOSS stuff, partly because it makes the learning journey a lot easier. Like we can reach a lot more people, a lot more people have access to this kind of software. I mean, if you're living in the US or Canada or Western Europe, you know, 20 quid or $20 is probably not that big a deal, but there's part of the world where $20 is a serious consideration.
Yeah, definitely.
And we really don't want to encourage piracy, right? Um, so there's a lot we could be doing with that, but I don't know. It's something we've been talking about a lot. Do we want to start branching out into paid software with a student license, or just stick with the free alternatives? And sometimes the free alternatives are just harder to use. Like we almost made the music course in LMMS, but
It was
just
it was audio. It was the thing was audio. Now it handles MIDI a bit better than Arda does, but you will find that when you're working with LMMS, in order to do audio, you've then got to use something like Audacity. So something as simple, I say simple, it's probably algorithmically complex, but to make a piece of music or a loop from 140 BPM down to 100, or just time stretching like that, is just not available. You'd have to export it and do calculations to work out at what speed it would now need to be, and then re-import it back into LMMS. So it's the story of free software a lot of the time that unfortunately you get stuck using or have many more steps than you would do in potentially a paid package which has it built in, or in this case in a different package like Arda which also has that built in.